All right, hey everybody, thank you for joining us today for episode 43 of Cage Side Convos. I'm Rick Huntsman.
What's up, y'all? This is Quince.
And we're coming to you guys live from Tunes 92.5 this morning. Before we introduce our guests, I'd like to give a quick shout out to our sponsors, the Farm to Table Company. They're taking local farmers, they're connecting them to local people directly. The farmers have products, people need products, and we're just taking out the middleman. So if you want to check out the Farm to Table Company to see what your local farmers have to offer, their website is f2tco.com. So that's F2tco.com. It's a farm to table company. There you go. And also I'd like to give a quick shout out to Tim Sweeney over here at Tunes 92.5. He's been awesome with us. He's given us the space today so we can sit down with our guests and come to you guys live. He does an awesome job getting involved with local businesses, staying involved with the community. He's let me come in here, Quince, and work with you before, do just interviews and stuff. You guys put on some live music the other day, so very, very generous, definitely awesome. If you guys want to check him out, tunes925.com.
Yeah. You can check out the live stream at tunes925live.com. It'll hook you right up to, we've got live segments 5 days a week and music 24/7 around the clock. So be on the lookout for that.
Beautiful. All right, so I'm really, really excited about today's guest. Professor Curtis Mosely has been a friend of mine for the past few years. He owns Behring Jiu Jitsu, which is another local martial arts gym. Curtis did 24 years in the Army and retired from that to run the school now. You've been training martial arts for about 15 years,
yep.
Right? And you've been a black belt since 2016, yep. Right? So really cool. Like I said, Curtis, we met a couple years ago. You actually, a couple of your guys at your school helped run me through a fight camp, so I was actually able to represent your school as well as American Top Team, my school, which is pretty cool, man.
Yeah,
So,
no, it's been a great, co-partnership, I guess we could say.
Sure.
Together, our guys cross-training and stuff like that, helping each other out in the community. It's all about the community, so It's been great to do that.
Yeah, and that's one of the coolest things. You said it, I think the first time I heard you say it was a couple years ago, but you always say 2 flags, 1 family, right? And that's the big, that's always really spoken to me as far as your focus on developing the community and stuff. Now, I kind of jumped right into that pretty heavy. I got a little too excited. I want to say that kind of buried the lead. So let's back it up a little bit. So to get to this point that you're at now, 24 years in the Army. So run us through that. Take us through the journey that is Curtis Mosely.
Yeah, so I grew up in Newark, Delaware, and was a jock in high school. Didn't have the best grades at all or anything like that. So once I got to junior or senior year of high school and playing hockey, really good at it, played baseball and stuff like that, just natural sports. And then I'm going to go to college and then figured out, hey, you got to take SATs and you got to do schoolwork. It wasn't like the movies where somebody's doing else your homework. You just got to worry about sports. And the guidance counselor's like, hey, you got to take SATs. I'm like, what, really? Yeah, I'm just going to go play sports. Like, that's not important. But, the recruiter called. I lived with my best friend and his family. The recruiter called for him all the time back when recruiters would call. And he had no aspirations to join it. He wasn't a military family. My dad was in the Marine Corps. So I'd get on the phone and mess with the recruiter. I'm like, yeah, I want to be Rambo, Special Forces Airborne Ranger, but I don't want to get shot at. Dude's like, what in the world are you talking about? It doesn't work that way. And then he started pitching reserves, which I knew nothing about. It was $100 a month at the time as a private. So I was like, yeah, I'll do that. Not doing much. So I did that, went off to basic training, AIT, advanced individual training. Back up, I graduated June 2nd, and the 24th of June, I was off the basic training, AIT and stuff. So back then, the Army, I'm not going to say it's better or worse now, but back then, you went through a transformation. They broke you down as a civilian and made you into a military soldier. So I came back 6 months later. My friends had stayed around. They took some time off from college. They were drinking, partying, having fun. I had matured a lot and changed a whole lot where I wasn't outcast, but I didn't quite fit in anymore. I just had a different way. My girlfriend's like, you're different now, And so I think I was home for that weekend. I went back and like, hey, I'll join active duty, but I got to go overseas to Germany. Like, oh, okay, yeah, we'll take care of that. I thought I was doing something. making demands, but everybody who came in considered prior service, went overseas, whether it's career or Germany. I think like 98% went to Germany. So went there, didn't plan on staying in the military that many years, 24 years later on. I got to Germany, I was 19, 20 years old, and just a whole different world. And had fun, stayed over there for 4 years, and then got married, right before I left, and then went to Fort Stewart, Georgia. I was there for 2 years, 10 months. Went back to Germany, spent 11 years there. So most of my career was in Germany. I had a great time. I did most of my stuff all post. So I played ice hockey in the German team, and then right around UFC time, and we had Army combatives come around, level 1 through 4. And watching UFC, me and the guys, we'd wrestle on the grass, thought we knew what we were doing. We probably thought we were training UFC back then. We joke about that now. But I didn't know anything about jiu-jitsu. Of course, grew up watching Mike Tyson and stuff like that. So when I went to basic non-commissioned officers course, we call it BNOC, we had to do level 1. So I had some UFC knowledge in there, and it was fun, fighting all that stuff. So I got hooked, and I came back, and I was looking for a place to do jiu-jitsu. So Germany's kind of different there, where grappling and where I was at wasn't big. Wrestling wasn't big. Judo, taekwondo, karate, stuff like that was big. So lo and behold, I found a place that's literally like right around the corner from where I used to live with my now wife, who's my girlfriend at the time. So I walked in, and I started training with these guys, and they treated me really good. And I can say that my instructor at the time, Winfrey Zink, I ended up passing later on in promotion now as a black belt. But me as an American walking in there with a set of ACUs on, no uniform or anything, to a German school, and these guys really accepted me, kept me going in jiu-jitsu. If it wasn't for that first encounter, I probably would have said, screw jiu-jitsu, it's not for me, and just went back to ice hockey. But I got into it, loved it, they embraced me, and I had played ice hockey from 16 years old up until that time. And hockey season came around, and jiu-jitsu bug just bit, and I was like, I'm not going to play this year, because it was just too much time. My wife was like, what? And I started selling my equipment, and that's when it really hit her, like, he's not going to play. And I didn't play until up to like last year, 2 years ago. I just got back in ice hockey. Just, kind of balanced out and try different things, now I'm retired. But I jumped in jiu-jitsu and just loved it. Met Grandmaster and my professor, Andreas Hoffman. And I came back to the States for my first competitions because it just wasn't big over there. So I just met a lot of people. So
that's awesome, man. That's crazy too. I think that it's that first engagement with people, because like you said, you're a soldier in a foreign land, and going to, go in, like you say, you're rocking your ACU, so you stand out like a sore thumb, and for them to just take you in and, treat you well, and then cultivate what's become such an immense passion for the sport, that's amazing. And I think that's something that you and I kind of talk about a lot too, though, is that the culture that we cultivate at our respective facilities it's critical to building that love in people, you know what I mean? Because jiu-jitsu is not always easy. Martial arts isn't always easy. It physically hurts, emotionally hurts sometimes, psychologically, you go through spurts where you want to quit, or you feel like you suck, or you feel like there's no point in doing it anymore. Obviously, there's highs that complement that, but I think a lot of the reason that you and I are friends, and I'm comfortable sending guys over to your gym to train, you send guys over to my gym to train, because we both have the same overarching goal. We want people to get better, and I think that stems a lot from obviously our first engagements with jiu-jitsu personally. So it's awesome to to know that that's the story that you had, and then you've just gone on to continue for the last 15 years, and cultivate that and make that kind of what you do.
All that, with meeting Winfried, Professor Andreas, and Grandmasters had a tremendous influence on me through jiu-jitsu. So this is a guy, I get emotional every time I talk about his story, but this is a guy who was an international marketing executive. So at one point, he went from flying first class, staying at the Waldorf Astoria, to flying coach, staying at Motel 6 type hotels. 82 years old now, I believe. Travels around the world, well, with COVID now, but normally before COVID, he was traveling around the world 9-10 months out the year, just popping from place to place to place to place. His first seminar here in Watertown, he came in February. You've been in Watertown, February, kind of sketchy time to have somebody come in. He's coming from Sao Paulo, from Puerto Rico. I'm like, man, this poor guy. And he comes in, the first time he came in, he was sick. He's an older gentleman, so he comes in, and he's still going to train. He's still going to do everything as if he was 20. And what he's given up in life to teach jiu-jitsu, to help others, has been phenomenal. He's not a guy that's about money. He He's not a business guy. You know, you can ask him, hey, can you bring this and that? I'm not a business guy. You know, I've seen him where seminars cost a couple $1,000s. You give him the envelope at a school we're visiting, he doesn't count it, he just puts it in the bag. Like, I count it, I'm not worried about it, you know. He got to teach it. He truly loves, I had a quote, you know, every day on my Facebook, I post a inspirational meme.
Yeah.
And the one yesterday kind of reminded me of him because he said something about the effects of, I don't have a favorite place. I have favorite people, so when I'm with those people, that becomes my favorite place. And that's Grandmaster because he travels all over the place. People are like, man, you get to see everything. He's like, well, I see JoJo's and airports. Well, which one's your favorite? He's like, you know, when I'm around people, that's what he likes, interaction. This is a guy who hasn't made an official DVD with books like we're used to seeing from other people, champions, which is fine if they do that, but his thing is that personal connection with you. And I've taken so much of that from him. I'm not a business person. My school is not my source of income. You know? If I can keep the lights on and pay the bills, I'm happy with that, you know. I have a lot of friends around the world do jiu-jitsu for different reasons. Some people are just like, hey, come in to train. I don't want to hear about your personal problems. I'm just here to train you. That's fine if it works for them. You know, I never shame anybody and say, hey, that's wrong. What works for you as a leader for your group of people is what I always look at. And for me, if you're coming in and all of a sudden you're not coming in, I'm going to give you a call. Hey, what's going on? You all right? You know, don't stop because of money. We can work something out. You can mop, you can help out different ways. So, and I believe in that because jiu-jitsu has such a great effect on people. You know, we say it all the time, you know, it becomes a way of life, a culture for people when you get into it. It's not just a side hobby. You know, it changes so much, you know. I wish everybody in the world could do jiu-jitsu because now we have this big divide with the elections going on. People on one side, people on another, they can't see eye to eye because they're with their team, but we can come and train together. We go to tournaments. I meet so many different people. I mean, one year back at the old Jiu-Jitsu Nation, we had a seminar at Grandmasters. The guy I beat, he came from Pittsburgh. I beat him in a tournament. He's like, man, you know, your jiu-jitsu's great. You know, I'm like, well, Behring Jiu Jitsu. He's like, I got to come see that. So he drove all the way from Pittsburgh, just one day in and out for the seminar. Yeah. And we became friends. We still talk all the time like that. And that's the great thing about jiu-jitsu. The people we meet. And there's going to be some jerk people there, as there is in life, but I think I've met more great people through martial arts than I have like negative people through martial arts. You know, really good divide there. So that's why I do it. You know, for the love of it, you know, to help people out, to see people grow, especially kids. I've had so many kids come through just intimidated in school or whatever, and now you see them grow wise and everything like that. Women to come in and do it. You know, so
that's you know, and I really like the emphasis on community. Because before you and I had met, actually this is the first time that we had met in person. Rick, of course, talked about you a handful of times and about what you guys do over at Behring. And back when Hold On Upstate was putting an event together, and it was you know, for the community's sake and for our part, the part that we play within the community, all these individual parts all over, and how it builds one community, and how that's almost a responsibility. And I had reached out to Rick. I'm like, do you mind, you know, putting together a little 30-second PSA? Because it had a lot to do with just the great divide that we see in the media, you know, that starts to trickle down into our daily conversations, social media, stuff like that. But when it comes to actual interaction, it's different. You know, it's back to just being people again. And I'm like, Rick, do you mind just doing a quick 30-second PSA? He's like, well, I think I can do one better. He's like, I'm gonna get a hold of my friend Curtis over at Behring, and we're gonna try and put something together. And I didn't know what he had in mind, but then he sent that through. It was like about a minute and a half, just about solid, just everything that you're talking about now. And it, you know, I knew that you were certainly had an expert skill level in the training that you had, but I think it's that focus on perspective that, or community that really stood out to me. And how you guys ended that conversation with the 2 flags, 1 family thing, and I'm like, this is gold. This is gold. So it's really cool to hear where that stems from, in part from that one. I don't know if you call him a mentor, but someone you looked up to, someone that opened up your eyes to the importance of the people in it. You know, not just you know, mixed martial arts or jiu-jitsu, but you know, it's the people doing it, it's the people training. I think that's awesome. That's great. I do have a real quick question, and this is only because last week we were talking about growth and change and how true growth, like while you're growing, the people around you have to be growing as well. So it stood out to me when you first went to basic training and you came back, and you know, there was a certain level of maturity through the military, which I'm assuming came by way of discipline as well, largely. And you had to go back and you see, not better or worse, but you see that other people are still kind of doing the same thing. They didn't have that same level of growth, and that was recognizable to you.
Yeah, definitely.
As you move forward.
I think that was the first time in life too. I really recognized that big difference. They were all best friends, like my friend Anthony. You know, graduated high school. After 12 years of school, you want to go out and kind of see life and enjoy life. Well, I took a different route because I had to. Not really because I wanted to. When I look back at it now, like, what are the choices I had besides working some job? I still would have been stuck in Delaware. So the military was great for me. I was talking to Eric last night. Yeah. Another guy. I'm like 24 years in the military. It went by so fast. I have no regrets of it. But when I came back from training, definitely I was different.
Sure.
Felt kind of, man, things changed so much. I've changed. I think for me it was better, and these guys are still the same, and that's fine. They're still figuring out life and stuff like that, which is a good thing to do. I didn't go to college. Even if I had the chance to go to college back then, I would have switched majors a lot. I would have spent a lot of money on it. Now, you know, years later, I'm working my 5th degree from JCC, or just college period. And I've changed majors a couple times, but I see the kids, I understand why they switch, because you don't know what you want to do in life, you know. And somebody said, rather than what do you want to do in life, what do you enjoy in life? If you find what you enjoy, then you'll find what you want to do. You know, and that's a big thing. That's what I tell my daughter now. I don't think you have to conform to something because that's what society wants you. That's the best paying job. What do you like to do in life? For me, I like to help people. I like to see people grow. So now I'm doing human services. But yeah, I definitely saw it back here. I definitely saw a big change there. Like I said, it was good. Now my friends are like up where I'm at now, but they just went a different route, and that's fine, you know.
So and with that, that change came through discipline. Do you think that's why your transition, or why jiu-jitsu stood out to you in mixed martial arts? Because from a lot of things that I've learned from Rick and a lot of the staff over at the top team, it's mental discipline. Daily, whether you're on the mat or when you're waking up in the morning, in those routines, like, is that one of the things that stood out to you about the art itself, or?
A little bit. I mean, like I said, I played sports. I'm used to, you know, that training regimen. I've been in the Army at that point for a while. So to me, the thing that stood out was like just how welcoming it was. Everybody across the board. You saw different guys. I'm in Europe, so you know, you had Turkish guys come in, some American guys, German guys. You know, it's a mixing pot of people that coming together and training, and nobody cared.
Right.
Nobody cared. There's a black guy here. There's a Turkish guy. This guy's this guy's that. We were just training, trying to kill each other on the mat, and we say simulated murder. And after we shake hands and hug each other, and can't wait to do it again. So that's what I really loved about it. It was just everybody. As I started traveling, I started seeing the same thing with people. You know, oh, you're from a different school, cool. Sit down and talk. You know.
And now, from that last question, I won't eat up all the time, but where you were from in Delaware, was there a mix there, or was it kind of?
No, I grew up in a melting pot, definitely friends, you know, just all different backgrounds. And like I said, I played hockey before. Hockey was really popular for blacks back then. I was the only one. The funny story is when I started, I moved when I was in 8th grade. And I went from playing baseball. I was skateboarding a little bit in development. I moved to the neighborhood. A couple of kids there, they were all playing hockey. We called ourselves the Green Valley Flyers. And I didn't know anything about hockey. I was fast, so I'd go and get the ball and slap it away from somebody playing defense, you know. And I kind of got it. It sucks, but you put him somewhere he's good at it and help you out, you know. So we used to go around back in the day. They don't do it so much nowadays with kids. I wish they did, but we had development games, development tournaments. We'd take our nets and equipment. We'd walk different developments and play other teams. So when I started playing, I was the backup goalie because in the wintertime, you get these hockey balls called My Lake hockey balls. They have a orange, a pink, and a blue. The blue one you have is for the wintertime. It's a little bit softer, so when it freezes down, it's hard. Summertime, we had a bunch of the orange balls that were like super hard in the winter. You hate those when you're goalie, so you get beamed up. So that's all we had. And so I ended up playing goal, and at the time, Grant Fuhr, Edmonton Oilers was a big name in hockey, probably the best goaltender in hockey. He was a black guy, so as I'm looking for mentors, which is normally you do, you look for somebody who's kind of like you.
Right.
So I'm like, wow, Grant Fuhr, that's pretty cool. And he plays goalie the same way they call it true righty. They plays opposite of most goalies. So I get to go and I buy an Edmonton jersey. I remember Mark, he's like my little brother. He was mad because I brought an Edmonton jersey versus a Flyers jersey. It was my first jersey, so I kind of clashed the colors. And then I joined the state traveling team. So that summer I worked really hard at ice hockey. Not necessarily to make that team, but just because I loved it so much. I just had that ethnic of working hard. And then I ended up making that state traveling team, which is unheard of because the guys were 16, 17 years old, had been playing since they were 3 and 4. Here I am at 16 just starting. and ended up making that team. So had that hard work ethic, but the thing, just walking in there and how everybody loved everybody and treated everybody. It was the same thing that I was used to back home. Like, I really didn't grow up knowing racism like that. My dad was in the Marine Corps, so we moved around. We were used to melting pots. I lived in California. Right. So I never had that many problems with it.
Gotcha.
I say sometimes I'm kind of naive to it. I know it exists, but I don't see it. I don't look for it right away, you know. I think here in Watertown is, up north as we are, and somewhat, socially mixed, but not totally socially mixed like we see other places. But I never can say I really had a problem here. We got people who live way deep in the woods, and I never really felt like I don't belong here.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I like one of the kind of like the biggest things. You and I have talked about this a lot too. Is the most significant way to get over differences and get along with people and enjoy being around people is if when you have a common goal, right? So whether it's playing hockey or it's training, right? As long as the goal, as long as everybody comes in and the agreement is that we all want to get better at this. However that has to happen, a lot of the differences because Guy over your school is one of my favorite people in the world. He and I do not see eye to eye on the political spectrum whatsoever. Yeah. But every single time I engage with him, I enjoy the conversation. I get better from it, and then he and I roll together, and we always have fun. Like he challenges me on mats. He challenges me as an artist. He challenges me, mentally, and all that. I mean, so the rest of the stuff, like the goal, is always we want to get better. We want to learn more, and that's again that speaks to the culture that you've cultivated at your facility, and then. As far as, in the way of mentorship and stuff, obviously me as an aspiring coach and trying to establish a culture at my gym, I can look to guys like you that have that culture and I can say, okay, what are they doing here? Why is this why is this culture prevalent? Why do people enjoy being there? So I can look to established schools like yours and I can say, okay, these are good things that he's doing. These are things I would like to emulate. And then next thing you know, we have an open door policy between the gyms, which is in the jiu-jitsu world, that's almost unheard of, especially in competitive gyms and stuff like that. People get pretty territorial. It's like you train at my gym or you don't, but you don't train in multiple places. And I think it's toxic to the culture, to the community. Like you said, you've been around the world, you know people from around the world that train. I have been, probably a dozen different places kind of around the country. Always found the exact same culture, and I think if that's what you're accustomed to, that's what you look for, that's what you gravitate towards. You know what I mean? I've been to schools where people are kind of standoffish, and they see that you're the new guy, and they kind of come after you a little bit and open that, and I'm like, all right, fine, whatever. Maybe I just won't train there full time, but you can recognize when it's not going to be a conducive environment to growth. And it's always much more. Revitalizing to find places that are just like, come in, train, whatever, however long you want to stay, whatever you want to get from it. The goal here is for everybody to get better. So as long as you accomplish that, as long as you bring that to the table, we're good.
Yeah, absolutely. Agree.
So, now, you were telling us a little bit, right before the conversation started, the year you got your black belt. There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
Why don't you take us through that?
So the 2016 was when I started transitioning out the Army. So I think my last working day in the Army was Memorial Day. Started transitioning out, clearing the Army, and I knew coming up that August, I think I had Grandmaster come in that summer again. We did some more private lessons, and then August I tested for my black belt. So under the Behring Association system, we have a black belt council. So at the time when I went there, it was 7 second-degree or hires who were watching grading you. And Grandmaster telling you what to do. So our association is not so much about you doing competitions, because not everybody's going to compete. Jiu-jitsu's for everybody, all ages. Not everybody's going to get a chance to compete. Grandmaster's thing about legacy of jiu-jitsu is you being able to teach jiu-jitsu on. So a big portion of it is how you teach different scenarios, words, mean different things on the mat. If I have a female that comes in and says, hey, I want to learn how to defend myself, or I'm going to attack you, that may freak it out, so you know how to deal with them, special needs kids, that person in class just knows everything. So that's a big part of the teaching here. So August 2016, I'm out in Utah, tested for my black belt. So it's myself, Michael McDonald, UFC fighter, and a guy named Ryan, all from California. So Grandmaster said, I got to go first. I'm like, man, you're nervous already. And, I don't care how good you are, how comfortable you are with people when you have that test, that pressure of testing.
Yeah.
You know, and it's pretty good sized school, absolute MMA out in Utah. But you got instructors all on one side grading you with their pencil, just looking at you.
Yeah.
Grandmaster's telling you what to do back in the corner. You have some other people over here who are watching other instructors lower belts, and it's just you in the middle there. And I had a good training partner, and I'm out there trying to go, and I had to roll too. And first person I think I had to roll with was Marcel Coletta, IBJJF world champion. And I think you met Coletta, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a tall guy, and roll with him. I did well, and had my other rolls. Some I did well, and it wasn't about getting submitted or submitting the person, just rolling, seeing how you handle it. But going through teaching, so I felt like I was out there forever.
Sure.
And I mouth started getting dry out in Utah, so the elevation never really hit me until that day for some reason.
Yeah.
And I was asked to say the name of the judo throw, and it was a Sotomaki Komi, and I couldn't get it out. My mouth was dry. I'm trying to get it out, like, and I'm like, should I ask for water? I don't want to ask for water. I don't want to stop the flow. And I get done, and people are calling me, because I think we were talking then too. Everybody's trying to figure out if I passed or not. I didn't know, and it was a good test. It was nerve-wracking. I thought I'd been out there forever. I remember Bill, as soon as we got off, he's like, thanks for not taking that long. And I'm just like, is that good? Is that bad? I'm outside trying to catch my breath, and I go back in, I go back out again, and people are calling me, did you make it? I'm like, I don't know yet, we're still testing. And then I realized I wasn't out there that long, and then some of the other black belts were on the council talking to me, and so I had a good feeling that I did well on it. I got some really great compliments from it, and that night we were waiting, we still didn't know. People were still calling me at the end of the night. I'm like, I don't know. Maybe they'll tell us in the morning time when we have an instructor meeting. Went there, he didn't say anything. I'm like, I don't want to seem cocky. I guess I made it because he didn't say we didn't. I know last year what he said. So we actually did make it. It was great. It was definitely that achievement you look to when you start jiu-jitsu to get the black belt. But then you get it, and I remember it was out there for the weekend, so I got back that Monday. And Monday night, I went straight to class. And of course, there's more people. I think you were even there too, right? Possibly that Monday. I got back. We had class, and my wife had everybody come in. So I'm in the locker room, and my brown belt's still in my bag, and I got the black belt and I'm putting it on. I'm like, man, I'm really ready for this. Kind of had that moment where you question. You got there, you're happy, you're excited, but then you're like, am I really ready for it? Am I going to do it justice? And it changes your whole perspective. Now that's when the learning really starts. I hear so many people say it, and I thought like just cliche, something you just say when you get there. But when you put it on, you're like, man, now it's weird. It's like a transcendence or whatever, for lack of a better term, but like your thinking just changed. You start to see more differently and stuff like that, and it really makes a difference.
So that was because that was when you guys were at the other facilities before.
On 283. I came back. Like I said, it was wild. I was in the locker room, just like, man, I'm ready for this. Like, almost kind of questioned myself, and nothing really changed other than the color of my belt. But now it's like that big responsibility I got. So
for sure.
Yeah. So I mean, it was almost like because we talk about coming full circle all the times. I'll run up to the top of the hill, you know what I mean, every morning, and it's the same view, but depending on what I'm going through or what I've been through, it looks different. It means different things now, so I fully understand that. As far as the expectations of what you thought would come with a black belt versus the reality, is there anything that stands out to you majorly?
No, just a realization that what I knew, I did know. So now I got so much more to learn and like dissect and like really be there. I guess it's really hard to put in words other than the fact that like you get there and like, man, do I really know? And then you start to open up more, and that's when your learning really begins as that black belt. You really start dissecting things, and you had that same knowledge before, but now it's like just all of a sudden like the bright light comes on, like wow, it's eye opening for some reason.
I know. I like how you put that. What I knew, I did know.
Yeah.
Just that verification. So now this is your new starting block. And this is the new foundation you can move forward on. That's great.
I think the parallels between the first time you put on your white belt and then the way you're describing the first time you put on your black belt, because I think a lot of people go through that. You show up to a gym to train, you have to tie the belt. You're like, am I ready for this? Like, what's going to happen? Because it feels different if you're just wrestling around with your buddies. When you come in, you actually put on a gi, and you're actually tying a belt. There's kind of a formality to it that I think a lot of people build up to be something that it's not, and so you're a little anxious, you're nervous, you have no idea what's going to happen really, and that sounds a lot like kind of what you went through, black belt, like, everybody says, well, that's where the learning starts, and then for that to be almost the exact same thing that a lot of people go through on their first day, it's I mean, it just instills a lot of truth in that saying, you know.
Right.
A lot of maturity goes in it too, I think, and you've probably seen it too. When you're training, you start out white belt, and then the next step is blue belt. So there's some point near either it's from white to blue or blue to purple. Yes, I can say immaturity or still being new in the art of jiu-jitsu. You have that where like, I'm ready, I want my belt. How come I'm not getting promoted? How come I'm not getting promoted? Then you get that belt, and as you stay in, a lot of the big drop off is once you get blue, you kind of disappear. We always talk about you end up in the milk carton. The people who stay on, then they start, getting it. Like, oh, I'm getting close. I'm not ready for it. I'm not ready for it. You know. Even my friends Nico and Felix were 3 of the 4, I think, originals who went from white to black that came from Germany. I'm still good friends with those guys. And even they said as they were, they were always the belt ahead of me because they started a little before me. But as we get promoted, and I'm like, man, it's getting real now. Now that 3rd strike my brown belt, 4th strike. Now I'm getting ready to test. Now it's getting real. Now, boom. And Grandmaster again became the great mentor to me that he is, how much he means to me. 2017, for his 80th birthday, 70th year celebration of Jiu-Jitsu, we went to Sao Paulo, Brazil. Big international meeting there, and it was a words I'm looking for. He went from his 9th degree red belt's the highest you can go. So, in honor of that, because he's still training to this day, he's still learning. So he went back to a special white belt with, I think, a red bar on it as an instructor, and it was just a symbolic gesture that you never stop learning. And I can tell you, he truly does. Like I always tell people, and Rick's probably heard me say it before. You see that red belt, you're like, man, this guy's got all the knowledge in the world. And he can tell you anything, you're probably like, yeah, that'll work, But he has a responsibility. I mean, we have our instructor meetings in Utah. He always says, you have a responsibility to teach correctly. Teach what you know. We're not here showing techniques. We're teaching techniques because I have a responsibility. If Rick comes in, I teach him something. It's something that I use, something I believe in, and that he can use. And I have to make sure he knows how to use it properly when he goes out in the street. Because if he uses it for self-defense, and that's my mindset for jiu-jitsu, and it didn't work for him, when he did it the way I taught him, then that's my responsibility. Same thing with the kids. Kids want to do it kind of lazy. And I'm like, no, you're going to do it again. We're not going to play a game because you guys didn't get it. And I'm like, oh, man. I'm like, look, I have that responsibility to you. So, I got black belt. I was doing it before, but now really that responsibility I have as an instructor is huge. And it makes a difference when people come in your doors, how you treat them. I never look at somebody coming through my doors like, oh, yeah, that's another paycheck for me. It's another person coming in looking for something from jiu-jitsu to get better themselves or help themselves out. They've been through something.
That the way you talk about as far as you kind of always chomping for that belt, or trying to move forward, and then you get to that point where and I know I went through this a little bit when I got my purple belt, because the way that my instructor Paul, the way he explains it to me, is like. Purple belt is kind of like a beginner expert. When people see you wearing a purple belt, they expect you to know pretty much what you're talking about, and then obviously that just amplifies by the time you get black belt. But I remember the first night I put my purple belt on to coach a class, and I kind of went through the same thing. I was like, ooh, like I better know what the hell I'm doing. Like I hope Paul wasn't wrong when he gave me this belt. You know what I mean? And but that's a lot of the fun, and a lot of the instructors that I talk to, a lot of the coaches that I look to for guidance as far as my coaching, they all say basically the same thing. Teach what you know. And for me, my belt's a reflection of what my instructor thinks of me. Like Flavio Behring would be giving you a black belt if he didn't think you were capable of handling yourself as a black belt. And so that's why it's important to have mentors that you trust, people that you respect. So when Paul gave me my purple belt, I was like, all right. Obviously you see something in me that is worthy of having this purple belt, but it's still a little nerve-wracking because I think you put more responsibility on yourself, and then again, I gotta imagine this amplified. One day I'll probably know what it feels like to put my black belt on, but all the things that we tell our students and stuff is just it's just a belt. You're always learning and stuff like that. I think that we still go through those iterations ourselves, because it's just a belt, but black belt means something. It's significant. And then to know that you carry that responsibility with reverence, and you carry it not lightly. You share that burden, and you feel responsible for your students. That's I think indicative of why your school does well, and why your program does well, and why people enjoy coming and training and talking to you and stuff.
And so in that, because you mentioned when people come in, you don't just see them as a paycheck, you know, because you feel that responsibility, and because you've got this, you know, passion for the art, understanding of the art, and certain expectations from yourself, but yet you still have to, I mean, you're running a gym, you know, you still got to get the bills paid, you still got to keep it going. How do you find that balance?
I found that balance by just being upfront and honest with the people and caring for them. You know, I got people, obviously because of my school, you know, my military ties, everything. Majority of my students are military. I always said if nobody left Fort Drum, I probably have like 2,000 students by now. If I look through all the waivers and stuff like that. But I don't think I've ever had anybody just leave because, like, oh, you know, Behring's not for me, you know. And just being genuine, caring about people, they see that, and they want to come back. They like the training, and everybody welcomes in everybody when they come in. It's an atmosphere I really don't have to worry about because everybody's been part of it. I don't try to change people to be like me. I'm just me, and I think that rubs off on people. Like, I'm not one to cuss a lot. You know, somebody comes and cusses, well, you can't cuss in here. But eventually you kind of look around like, it's kind of weird, everybody cusses. Okay, I'm not going to cuss. I'll watch it, you know. I'm fine with that. You know, same thing with political beliefs. Everybody's got different political beliefs. I'm fine with that. You know, we can agree to disagree. We're all supposed to be different anyways. That's what makes us great. That's what made America great, a melting pot. But when we don't allow people's differences or we get mad about different stuff, I think that's where we create all these problems. But as for the school, you know, just being me and accepting everybody and just, you know, being up in front and honest with everybody went a long way for me, you know. The way I do business there, like, oh, you know, over here down the street, they do it this way. You know, it works for them, it works for them. You know, this works for me. I do certain things in my contracts that other schools don't do. They're not wrong for it. I don't think I'm wrong. It's worked for me. You know, so I understand the military life and things change and orders come late, so I do things a little bit different, but I never had to kick anybody out, you know. Even when we roll, you know, you get the young infantry guys in, I have a lot of females there, they want to roll crazy, but then they see, you know. And we talk about it before, we kind of watch them and see, but never had to kick anybody out for being stupid or anything like that. You know, it's been welcoming. I have state troopers in there, I have guys who've been in jail before, I've had people recovering from drugs or whatever the case may be, all different walks of life are in that school training together, and that's a great thing. So.
Gotcha. So, I mean, it just sounds like, you know, you had these core values that you were consistent with, which ends up forming that culture, the culture of the gym, instead of just taking in whoever because they're going to pay for it. And then you just got, you know, this animal that you really can't control. I respect that. I understand that. Something you and I were talking about before, you know, because it's more than just the training of the martial arts. You know, we were talking about some of the personnel that you guys have and how you interact with people, and that's the stuff that they remember. And that's what keeps them coming back. You know? So, no, that goes long ways. It goes a long ways.
Yeah, it's you know, it's always about establishing value in, you know, yourself, you know, being morally sound, believing in your technique, believing in the, you know, if you want to be a business guy, believing in the product that you have to offer, right? But also, it's about cultivating that culture, you know what I mean? Because if you have somebody who comes in, even if they're a stud on the mat, if they're just an asshole, if they treat people poorly, if they don't add anything back into the program or the culture, then it's not really worth having around. And so when you set the bar high for how you carry yourself, for how your staff carries themselves, because you got a couple people that they're the coach, Guy coaches a little bit now, Grace, Jamie, they're all awesome people that you have. We have the same thing, you know, at our school, you know, Pete, Joey, Paul, everybody at our school, you know, feeds into that culture, you know. And again, that's kind of what allows us to have this kind of open door policy between the gyms, is that the agreement is we all hold ourselves to a high standard, we all teach the best technique that we know how, and we all encourage that, you know, that growth and a respectful, you know, obviously we're going to be competitive and we're going to beat each other up a little bit and stuff, but as long as it's always for the sake of growth and it's not just for the sake of throwing ego around, you know, and then the money kind of comes behind that. You know, people are going to want to invest in the gym. People are going to want to pay their bills. People are going to want to be up because they're going to want someplace to go.
Instead of chasing the money, you know, chasing money.
I hate chasing money. Just, hey, when it's your time to pay, just pay. I hate, you know, chasing people and even late fees, you know, sometimes people forget, but like, just talk to me. You know, I don't want to chase you, just talk to me. And I don't have a program director, as some schools do. I don't have a program director. You know, I'm on the mat rolling, I can tell you. If I can roll, I'm rolling. If I'm the odd man, or if it's even with me, then I'm going to roll. You know? I do a lot. I'm more busy now than I was in the Army, but I'm doing what I love to do. So, and another thing is that I'm not from Watertown originally. I came here because of Fort Drum. So when I retired, most retirees like, I'm out of here. I have my house, but you can sell the house, whatever you're renting out, if I wanted to. But my reason for staying is really the school. I don't have any family up here. Sure. My family's in Germany and down in Delaware, 6 hours away. But the reason why I stayed is because of the school. Sure. The school first. It's such a staple in the community. All these schools, martial arts schools, is life for us. I'm not sure how old you guys are, but life's not like it used to be. See kids out playing street, you know, baseball games, whatever, basketball games. Yeah. They're on their computers now, their games, whatever. So, I mean, we need these outlets. And the school's martial arts, any kind of sports, is a positive outlet. And we just don't have enough of it around here, especially now with the COVID, it's even worse. Sure. You know, I shut down in the beginning like we were supposed to, and the first month was good because now I rehabbed and everything, and, you know, I wasn't sore and everything, but I think the last straw was after I watched Tiger King. Now, honestly, first when I watched it, you guys haven't watched it, when I first watched Tiger King, I thought, you know, into animals, Animal Planet, stuff like that's cool. So when I watched Tiger King, I thought it was like a documentary about this guy in the zoo. Had no idea what I was getting into, and I think I just binge watched it because I'm like, there's really people like this in the world. Like, this is the world coming to. You know, so I was more shock value by it than like, this is interesting to me. It was just like, there's got to be a joke. Like, I'm waiting for the end to say, okay, this is just all fake, you know, a Borat type thing, but it was real. So after that, I was like, I got to start training. So I slowly started training again. It's going great now. Like I said, we got the restrictions in there. They're tough to work around. Doing what we really need jiu-jitsu to be is out in the street, the person actually doesn't care about COVID. Yeah. So I'm hoping sooner or later we get back to really training the way we normally train versus solo drills and grappling dummies. But it's something right now. And you see people come in just happy to see each other and like, hey, you know. And hopefully someday life will get back to normal again.
It can never be as bad as binge watching Tiger King, right?
No. I couldn't watch it. I don't see who watched it the second time. I couldn't watch the game, but it was just like, wow, that's what the world's coming to. So.
I've seen the memes. I did read they're coming out with a movie, though. Coming out with a Tiger King movie.
I couldn't do it.
If Nick Cage is not in it, I'm not watching it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I couldn't do it. Like I said, I was astonished that was actually real. Like I said, I legitimately, when it came out, I was like, okay, cool. Like, guy saving tigers or something like that. It's going to be pretty cool. And first time I watched it, I was like, what in the world did I just watch? And you got Netflix, and the next one starts again. I'm like, it's getting crazy. Yeah. Wait, they're gonna elect this guy? Like, it was just crazy. So, yeah, that's why I stayed here, because of the school and what it means to so many different people. Sure. I remember one time, you know, on Facebook, and you had that meme like, "Hey, I got the phone call I've been waiting for. I'm leaving. I'm moving everything." I posted that just messing around, and it was just I think it was like an exercise of reading all the way to the end before you react. Man, so many people were mad. Parents are like, my daughter was in tears. What are you doing? I'm like, you didn't read. It's not my fault. You got to read to the end. But people are like, and, you know, at the same time, it was funny, but it validated my decision to stay here with my family and like how much people appreciate me being here in the community. And Rick will tell you, I never say it's my school, it's our school, because even though I'm the head of the school, it's my school, I'm the owner and the head instructor, everybody's come in and kind of just, you know, flowed into that culture, atmosphere that's been created, you know, from Grandmaster passed down to me, the way I conduct myself there. And again, it's not me changing anybody. It's just the way I act. And people come in and they take to it. You know, it's just been so great. And people send other people here and stuff like that. And it's great, you know.
We, Rick and I talk time and time again about how passion ends up changing into purpose, you know, at a certain point in time. And the whole Behring becomes your family, becomes your purpose. The way that you approach what you do, you know, is what is, as Rick likes to say, cultivating that culture. But
have I said that a few times?
No, just the one time. I held my tongue. But in that, you know, and that purpose is what is cultivating that culture, and there was a need for it, you know, and there's a need for these things, and it was just like with Hold Down at the time. It didn't seem like the artists were coming together. You know, these mixed genres were coming together, and there was an opportunity. There was a need for people to be like, look, no one's here. No one here is, you know, trying to make it out to Hollywood. You know, let's have fun. Let's do something here. Let's start something here. Let's, you know, create this culture. And that's why I understand it. It's not about, when I was throwing shows, it wasn't, I'm just picking whoever gets the most numbers online. You know, might be the best rapper, you know, who might come in and do their set and then leave from the show. I want the people that are going to come and be a part. They're going to stay and be a part of the crowd and support everybody else doing it. Like, that to me is the culture. That's the opportunity here. and I'm sure not just this area, but wherever you go. And I think that's how things end up lasting, just lasting.
I mean, because nobody doesn't want to, whether it's MMA or jiu-jitsu, nobody's going to get better without other people there.
Yeah.
So you emphasize, hey, don't hurt your partners, don't be a jerk, take care of yourself and your partner. When you're rolling, you have those three awarenesses: awareness of yourself, awareness of your partner, awareness of your surroundings. Just put those all three together, you'll keep yourself, your partner safe, And we all go together better. Right. We can't do it alone. So, and with my guys, like when they go compete, I always tell them, win or loss is not, I'm not worried about you winning or losing. The medal's great, but it's just for that moment. But when you go out there, because I know so many people around the area here on the Northeast pretty much, when you go compete, people are they see that logo, they expect two things from you. You're going to be respectful, and you're going to be a hard match, a tough match. But at the end of the day, you're not going to be a jerk. You're not going to break their arm. You're going to help them up. You're going to hug at the end, whether you win or loss or whatever the case may be. That's how you're going to be, and that's what people come to know from the different grappling promotions out there and stuff like that to the MMA promotions. Everybody knows expect if you say Behring, they expect you come with a certain standard.
Sure.
So.
Awesome. So, what kind of the passion leading to purpose and stuff? What do you remember a specific moment when you said? Because like you said, the year that you got your black belts, the year you retired, you had all the opportunity to leave the area. Mm-hmm. Do you have a specific moment where you said, "I can't leave"? Where this is where I belong. This is what the purpose I'm here for is to keep this school running. Is to keep this culture alive and to help feed this community.
I think when I started the school, so I first got here, I was teaching another school, and the culture wasn't as such. It was a different culture. I don't want to say it was wrong or whatever. It was a different culture that I wasn't aligned with. So at the time, I was a first sergeant, so pretty busy in the Army, and so I left that school because the culture wasn't changing. It just, for me, it wasn't the right fit. I don't want to say it was wrong or anything. For me, it wasn't the right fit. For some people, it was. And when I left it, they told me, people want to come with me and said, just keep training. I don't know where I'm going yet. Haven't figured it out, but this culture isn't the right culture for me. What I want to do with martial arts. So I left and started Behring at the time. Like I said, I was a first sergeant. I think I was delivering a Mountaineer. It was crazy how things just line up for you. You believe in God or whatever you believe in. I was working light fire school, so I used to go down Route 11 to get in that gate and go because that was closest to my facility. And then we'd have meetings, weekly training meetings, whatever. And the Mountaineer newspaper, the weekly newspaper was there. Hardly nobody ever reads unless like I did a self-defense seminar or something. I knew there's an article in there. So one day the meeting was late. I opened the paper. There's a Mountaineer job. They deliver the Mountaineer on post one day a week. And I was like, all right, cool. I took the paper with me for some reason. Drive down 283 and I see the old school there. It's up for rent. I look inside there. It looks a pretty good, decent spot. I think at the time I was renting space over in Seaway Plaza with another school. So I called the newspaper place, just kind of curious, looking for something for my wife, and the guy, he says somebody else got the job, but he'll keep me on the list. And then I go back to that building I looked at before and looked inside there and called the number, and they called me back and told me how much the rent is. So the same day they called me and told me how much the rent is, the guy calls me about the job. Well, what the job was and what the rent was matched up dollar for dollar. So I was like, perfect. One day a week, I can open the school in this facility, my own, building, and not have to worry about, how many students. I don't think I had that many students. When I left the other school, I didn't have any students. Yeah. Just a couple people. So it just kept growing. So, hustled and did that for a long time, and it just grew. But as it grew and people saw what it meant to people, saw kids that ran it. I've had Olivia since she was 5, and she's been in it growing up, and it's meant so much to her and everything. And I just see what it means to everybody. So, and at that point, once I got into teaching, running that school, I knew that I had to stay and do it. I think at some point, I was still in the Army. I was supposed to go to Korea. I was like, man, Grandmaster, I'm going to see Korea for a year, and I don't know if I'll come back here. I may. I can have a plan to have somebody run it for that year, but I may not come back to drum. You never know. And then my next step was Sergeant Major. I definitely probably wouldn't have came back to drum. Grandmaster's like, hey, they need you. They need you in Watertown. You got to stay, And, thought about it, and I made some changes. The Army was changing, and I did close to my 24 years. I was teaching in battery, so I had the dream job, training all day long. So they wanted me to go back to my unit, do some other stuff. And by then, it just got to the point where, all right, I'm going to take a knee and get out. I didn't want to stay in for a paycheck and not enjoy what I want to do. Now, I'm busier now, doing what I want to do. I'm jiu-jitsu 5 days a week, ice hockey, I go to school full time. So I'm staying busy, but I'm doing what I love to do, and that's the difference there, you know.
Yeah. So just kind of one of those, no real aha moment. Maybe that conversation with Grand Master is that they need you there.
Yeah.
I imagine that probably weighed pretty heavy on your shoulders. But yeah, I mean, we can talk about it all day long, and I mean, there's memes out there, and everybody shares it. It's like, you're not doing what you love, you're wasting your time, this, that. You, 24 years, you bowed out of a career that could have, by all rights, been very lucrative, and I mean, probably retirement would have been better, another, 5 years in or whatever, but here you are, you feel so drawn to this purpose, and feel so drawn to this avenue to serve the community through what you're passionate about, through what you love to do, that you leave the Army, leave that career. And like you said, I mean, I know you're busy now. Every single time I talk to you, you're telling me about whatever 2-3 classes you have lined up. You're playing hockey. I know over the summer you were biking a lot and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. And still, I mean, you still make the time to put your heart and your energy into the school. And I mean, it's paying off tremendously. Like I said, I enjoy conversations that we get to have. I love the people that I've met through training with your school, and then working together. I absolutely feel like we're both kind of on the same page and helping grow the community and stuff. And so that's pretty cool. Just seeing all of these things that people just, I think a lot of people say a lot of the stuff, and see the fact that you've gone through and you've lived it. You continually make decisions based on what's going to facilitate you helping others. And I think that's absolutely tremendous, and I love seeing it.
And and sometimes you do have to take away that safety net. At least financially, military, when we're going to get that steady income. Take away that safety net to fully be like, all right, fully become involved in what you're doing. But I love to hear it. And then not only that, but you also have these other things that you whether it's the hockey, whether it's going back to school, you know what I mean? That now, at least I know for me, back anytime we talk about purpose, and I realize a sense of purpose, now I just see everything differently. You know what I mean? Now, I'm like, now this conversation, or this job, this position, or this opportunity, how does that help me evolve my purpose? How can I apply that to what I'm doing, what my purpose is? So I hear that. Do you notice that? Like once you said, okay, I appreciate the offer, but I got to take this opportunity. Like, was it kind of a weight off of your?
It was, yeah.
In a way, yeah. What about what about just perspective on life? Do you get the same feeling as far as having that sense of purpose, like how your interactions change what you are a part of?
Yeah, for me, I mean, in the military, as you get up in rank and stuff like that, I had some great mentors there. I've been blessed with just great mentors throughout life. And for the military, as you progress in rank, you get more people that you're in charge of. Some people look at it like, hey, I'm in charge of you. I got to tell you what to do, this and that. For me, as I got more, I was always taught that rank, when you get that next rank, it's not so much your promotion, it's the people you can affect. You can affect more people. So when people messed up, we always say in the Army, 99% of the people, or 1% of the people will take up 99% of your time. So there's bad soldiers, or soldiers who are trouble soldiers will take up your time. And I wouldn't get mad so much at the soldiers. It affected my ability to help others. When you're commanding the next higher person, you're usually like, man, you guys are all messed up. It's not you're messed up, it's that one person that's affected how everybody else looks. So in the military, I didn't use my rank to control others. So, I mean, you're going to respect that person because of the rank, but you're going to do a lot more for them because you believe in them. And that's the way I've always tried to live and do everything. Even with jiu-jitsu now, it's not like, well, I'm a black belt, come down and kiss my feet. That black belt gives me the ability to help more people, because people look at you now, so you got a wider audience. Me and Rick talked about it, people leaving here all the time. As many military guys that I have, you become friends and they leave. And they're like, yeah, that really sucks, but at the same time, now we're spreading out more. So I look at the positive side that now Behring Jiu-Jitsu, this mindset is going out to other people in different places now, and we're building bridges in other areas there, stuff like that. So just that ability to affect more people with that. I did a bike ride. I don't know if you saw it, and Rick knew about it. I did a bike ride. I just got into biking because it was just something else. I can't stand running now, knees and everything. So I got into biking. It was just kind of a zen thing. I think it was Zach had asked if I listened to music. I think I rode down to Brewerton one year, my longest ride at first, and back. And he's like, man, you listen to music with your playlist. I'm like, I don't have a playlist. It's just birds and frogs or wind, whatever. He's like, wow, I couldn't do it. And I'm like, it's just that moment. And this year I started riding again because COVID hit and you couldn't really do anything. And of course, the seniors, they had that unprecedented time of not graduating at first. There was like no graduation, and you saw these yard signs as we're riding around. I'm like, man, that sucks. And I ride anyway, so I'm like, it's going to be cool to go to each school and just call names out of people. Had no idea how huge this thing would get. That wasn't my goal to like to say, be on the news and all this other stuff. It was just something I just wanted to do. And, I asked people, like, hey, you got any seniors? Okay, give me a name. I'm going to call their name out. This would be cool. I'll try to document it. And it got so huge. It's just unbelievable to me that little act there meant so much to so many different people. First when I came to Indian River, I had like people out there. Lady gave me a hug and everything. And she was just like in tears, like, this is so great what you're doing. And like,
awesome.
Each school I went to, there's people out there and stuff like that. And so many comments, and I got like friend requests. And you get these friend requests, sometimes you don't know who they are. If it's jiu-jitsu community, I'll look, okay, he knows Rick, he knows this guy. Okay, I'll accept them, even though I don't know him. But I got so many from that I had to accept them, which I don't normally do, but they wanted to see it. And even to this day, even with a mask on them at the mall, somebody's like, you're the bike guy. You're doing those water sports too. I'm like,
that's awesome.
Hey, that's awesome.
I got a shot the other day when I flu shot and got drawn some blood. And I was messing with the nurse. I was like, I'm not going to get sick from the flu shot. Everybody can say get sick. She's like, no, you got so much energy for days. I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, your bike ride. I got tired watching you. So still to this day, I think I did it back in May, maybe. I think it was April, May, June. I did this bike ride, but it's still a lot of people seen that and like recognize me, like, you're the bike guy.
And it's been cool. It was on the news and everything. So no, I missed this.
I don't know if it was on the news because I didn't really call anybody. I know one lady, her grandson, she did do a newspaper article. I think it was like 360 Watertown, but again, it was something I bike ride and something I wanted to do personally for kids because I just thought they really got cheated. I thought it was too easy for whoever just to say no graduation rather than say, okay, we can social distance 6 feet apart. I mean, because we're all going to Walmart, why can't these kids have the graduation? I mean, that's a milestone you can't get back.
Right.
Even if you do it next year to come back and say, hey, okay, 2020, we're going to do it 2021. Well, now I'm in college, I moved away, whatever. It's not going to be the same. My friends aren't there, I was with you guys since second grade. We looked at this moment, but now we don't have it anymore. So I thought that was kind of messed up. That it was just easily to say no instead of think out the box and say, okay, here's how we're going to do it.
Right.
Reduce capacity, but at the same time, we're going to do it for these kids who earn that. So that's why I did the bike ride. And like I said, it just got so huge. I was just like, wow, this is cool. And I'd say here in North Country Watertown, there's been a couple different instances. The fire last year, which was a good friend of my daughter's, how quick the community came together. In hard times, this community comes together so strong. It's impressive. The Rock Church used to do a community day, and like everybody out there would come together. It's great in tragedy times and times of need, but let's just do it across the board, 24/7. Be so much better. We don't have to wait for tragedy to hit to be together, And hopefully one day we'll get there. But, I'd say definitely in tragic times, this place really comes together. No matter anybody's background, walks of life, they really come together. That's what I like about Watertown here. People say what they want about it, and that's the thing that gets me too when people complain. Okay, what are you doing? Well, I'm not doing anything, but it sucks over here. There's nothing to do. Well, have you tried to open a business up? We got a lot of empty buildings here, a lot of grants and stuff like that. Money's going out. So what have you done, with your time to make the community better? Right. Oh, it's trashy. Well, yeah, you just threw a cigarette butt. How can I pick that up and some more trash here to help out? It's just crazy to see. It's kind of like I started back JCC for my third degree, just because it kind of, again, the school is my heartbeat. So I'm going to school for personal gain or knowledge and everything, personal embetterment. But I like to go for things that help me out. So at first I went for chemical dependency because we have guys that come to the gym, who need it. I got guys on Facebook that reach out to you, hey, stay positive, come out to the gym and train, because that will start consuming you. You'll figure out that, hey, I can't drink even a little bit. Come in, like party all night and try to come in and roll because I'm going to get destroyed here. And while somebody's not trying to kill you on the mat, you're going to feel it. You're the guy that's in the corner like, oh, I can't take 5 rounds or whatever. It'll start to change you. So I always invite people to come in and get them better. And that's why I went for chemical dependency first, so I can know and talk smart about it. Now I'm doing human services. Again, I can know and talk about smart. You come in like, hey, man, I want to train, but I have medical, I need this, okay, here's what you need to do, you need you over here. Go to the source to help out. I've been that way throughout my career, and I think if you're a genuine person and you tell people what they need to hear, whether it's what they don't want to hear or don't want to hear, they're going to respect you for that.
Sure.
You know, rather than sugarcoat or be a yes person. I've got soldiers who I put out the Army, recommend they got out the Army. Still call me today. I had a guy just call me last night, asked me, be a reference for him. And I really don't get that out easy just for everybody, because I have to tell how you are, because my name's on the line. But if you're doing the right thing, and you can accept that, and they know that, And they still come back to me all the time. I had a guy from New York City. He's training at 10th Planet. He wants to come up and train. Old soldier of mine. So if you're genuine with people, whether they agree with you at the time or not, they know that you probably told them the right thing. They just weren't man or woman enough to accept that. And now when they look back at it, like, you know what, he was right. And they don't have to say it, come back and say, hey, you were right, I was wrong. It's not about that. You accepted it, let's just move on and get you on the right path. And I'm not always right in everything I do. We all got flaws, I understand that, but together we get better and get stronger.
Absolutely. So, a lot of great points there. From the positive perspective, which is huge. We talk about that all the time around here. People say, there's not this. Build it, make it, start it. A lot of things that people see as a disadvantage or deficit, that's an opportunity. You know what I mean? As far as being genuine with people, I think that's the best way for people to learn. They might have that their defense is up, at first, but that they can sense that genuineness. And I think that allows people to, because you can't tell people how to see. They can't see through your eyes. You can do, that's as far as you can go. Speak genuinely, speak from the heart, and you're going back to school for a lot of this stuff. So like educating yourself further is only going to help your cause when trying to do this. And I think that's great. I think that's awesome, because like I said, you can't get people to see, but you can help them understand there are other avenues or different ways to look at things. That's great.
I love probably, I think for me the most significant thing that I think speaks to why this conversation is even happening is the notion that you said that you want everybody to try to come together even when things are good, right? I mean, life's pretty good right now, you know what I mean? Like you said, things are weird because of this pandemic and everything else, but the fact is that all three of us are here, for various different walks of life and stuff like that, but we want to have conversations. We want you to be able to tell your story a little bit. I want to hear your story, you know what I mean? Because we talk all the time, but I mean, there's still, stuff, I didn't hear, didn't know about you, so I get to know you a little bit more.
Right.
This builds our relationship. This is going to, build the community, make people aware of exactly what's going on in Watertown. I mean, overall, like I said, things are good right now, but it doesn't mean that we just wait for something bad to happen to build friendships, to build relationships, to build community and stuff. And I love that. Yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, people just take a couple minutes to talk to somebody from different walks of life. You'll find that you got so much more in common than you do uncommon. Being in Germany for a long time and a lot of different World War II ceremonies and stuff like that, talking to vets, and they'll tell you, I found out this guy, POV or POW, he liked to fish and hunt. I like to fish and hunt. We could have been best buddies, but we're not at war with each other. We're at war because our government's didn't agree. And we're just, people within our government, people within our different countries doing what our government asks us to do. But I don't really hate this guy, even though he's trying to kill me, I'm trying to kill him because our government believes. But we could be friends because we got the same exact energy. We could be out hunting together, fishing together, whatever. So I always tell people, before you judge somebody, take a couple minutes to learn that person, understand something about them in conversation. You'll find that you have so much more in common, and that can break down that barrier. You see black, white, homosexual, lesbian, or whatever the case may be, Catholic, Protestant, whatever. You can break those walls down if you just take a couple minutes to talk to that person and find out, okay, other than that difference, we got more common than we do uncommon. That's crazy,
And it's about, what we were saying before, the family is derived from having that common goal, no matter where we're coming from, so.
Yeah, I think, that's what I love about, martial arts, at least jiu-jitsu, that's what I do. We come from all different walks of life, we don't, on the mat, we're not talking about politics or anything, we're just talking about technique, and we're having fun doing it. We're learning from each other, and we have that common bond together, and we can get off, we can talk about politics, but we're not arguing, we're just talking to understand, okay, well, that's how you feel, but this is how I feel. You vote for your guy, vote for my guy, and hopefully the goal is that we as a country become better.
Yeah.
Not just my side or this side. It's the thing, this whole COVID thing that I hate about it, and I definitely believe the virus is real. I don't know if it's a conspiracy theory from one side or who started or whoever, but it's here. We have to deal with it now rather than pointing fingers at who started it. That's beyond that now. How do we control it? How do we get better from it? How do we move forward? But at least our government, from what I'm seeing, is, Republicans want to blame the Democrats for doing this, or going to lock down the country. It's not real. It is real, this and that. But rather than, I haven't seen them come together and said, put differences aside. How do we protect our people, our citizens? How do we get better and move forward from this? Because, Trump right now is saying that Biden's going to lock down the economy. Well, he may. We don't know until it happens. If he doesn't lock down the economy and we just have the corona going, we're still kind of in some kind of lockdown, right? Because we can't operate our schools the way we want to. We got to wear masks everywhere and stuff like that. So it's still, you got two different situations going on. They're both neither really good for the country, but how do we get better together? And that's not what they're doing. And that's the thing I hate about politics. I've never been into politics, but it's hard, especially now more than ever, to make a decision. Because you can't even call it a debate. The first debacle we had there, and the second one told a little bit more, but not much more. It was still just more controlled name calling and blaming in. So it's a tough time.
Because it's all about, everybody sees the conversation as an opportunity to win or to be right. And nobody uses it as an opportunity to learn something and to be better. And I think that's a lot of what we're talking about, have been talking about today.
Absolutely. As long as the goal is to get better and to grow together, the rest of it can be figured out. But
absolutely.
Until that's the goal, it's going to be tough.
Yeah, when you have your own personal agenda or whatever, and it's not for everybody. It's your personal agenda, and that's what we have in politics, unfortunately. Everybody's wondering how can Harris team up with Biden after what she said about him. It's a personal agenda right there. Who wouldn't want to be a vice president nomination, and only after that would you run for president, right? So you get your name out there. It's unfortunate. So,
and then we're just here having small conversations in small communities, trying to do the best we can. And I think it's so easy to get distracted by a national narrative and a national focus and forget about this. Forget about the fact that people, want to get to know each other. People want to get better. People want to grow.
Instead of getting the facts, people just hear stuff. I posted something about, it was 13 days ago about the election coming in, a Biden guy with a flag and a Trump guy shaking hands. Somebody wrote in there, and when I write these posts, I usually don't, me, Rick, I don't engage online, because once you post online, you're going to be right all the time, no matter what, you're going to hold your ground. So I'll message people in, private message to have that discussion if I really feel that compelled by it. Other times I'll just let it go, because no sense of fighting on Facebook. But this person posted something about, well, the Democrats are going to bring a truckload of ballots at the last minute and steal the election. I said, well, I'm not saying it hasn't happened or it couldn't happen, but have you seen it happen? Well, not me, but somebody who knew somebody said somebody got arrested. I'm like, come on. If you're going to say it, at least know firsthand this is what happened, But that's the world we live in now. We got TV and watch the different news agencies. They're all one story, and they're all different, from different agencies. So it's crazy, rather than just sit down and talk. And where we can make the most difference is right here in community first, and push it out there. You're not going to make it way up the top here with the president. Last year Hillary won the popular vote, but I understand electoral college and all that, but how much can it really affect? How much have these politicians really been affected by COVID, like me and you have, our everyday people? So if we, the community, come together and start making things happen, grow out here, that's going to be the bigger effect than trying to get it to come down to the bottom. It's going to be years before it comes down. Where right now we can go out and we can organize, let's clean up Watertown Day, because everybody wants to complain. But the problem is, those ones who complain won't come out. Oh, I have to work, I got to do this, I'm not doing that, it's not my trash. No, it's not your trash, but it's your community.
Absolutely.
So how do we make this better, us together as a community? Hold down upstate, your brother did that concert, and JP's done concerts and stuff like that, which has been great. And I went to his first one, it was heavy metal, not the kind of crowd that I would probably attract for school, but it was a good, thing to go to. So. And it was supported and donate money and stuff like that. So
absolutely.
We need more of that. We need more people to step up, volunteer, and be mentors and role models for people, help out the community and stuff like that. It's easy stuff you can do. We used to call it military low-hanging fruit that we can take care of. Stuff at the federal level, that's high stuff we probably never going to reach, but walking by some trash, picking it up, paying something forward to somebody, we can do that.
Absolutely. So absolutely, I love it. I think that So, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, Professor Curtis Mosely from Behring Jiu Jitsu Watertown. Curtis, thank you so much for spending time with us, man.
Great meeting you in person. Heard a lot about you. Seen a lot of the combos and great stuff you guys are doing.
Thank you. Awesome. Appreciate it. Thank you. So, yeah, thanks guys for tuning in. If you're watching us on Facebook, don't be bashful. Giving us a share, throw us some comments. If you're checking us out on YouTube, again, please like, share, subscribe, all that jazz, and we will be back very soon.
Thank you guys.